Hey guys, parents, friends, nannies, teachers. This is Don, aka the Inactive Nanny, coming to you from Inactive Nanny's world, where love and play are interacting, and I am actually nannying as of right now. I have two little ones here with me, and they're asking for a story, so I figured I would just go on and do a story time on the podcast. Do my episode for this week as a story time, since I'm nannying. I have two sweet little ones over here with me, and we're gonna read two books. So the first one is Think Big, Little One by Vashti Harrison, and then we'll read another one. Yeah, just in case y'all hear some little chatter in the background, it's my littles that I'm working with this evening. Think big, little one. There's a whole world waiting for you. Just look at all the women who made their dreams come true. Oh wow, look at your book. Discover new things like Jenny, Marie, and Rosetta. Wayne Zenny explained how the moon eclipsed the sun. You saw the picture. You see it. Covered the new chemical element, and Sister Rosetta Stark showed people how to rock and roll. You getting ready to draw something? You got another pencil in there you can use? I got to find a pencil sharpener. So we'll find one and I'll sharpen your pencil in just a minute, okay? Yeah. Make a difference like Wangari, Claudia, and Carita. Wangari Mathai planted trees so her community could grow. She likes planting trees. Claudia Jones created a newspaper for her people, and Sister Carita Kent crafted bold messages of love and peace. She's a nun. Color outside the lines like Mary, Gio, and Ada. Mary Blair worked with colors like no one else. Gio Fujikawa illustrated children of many races in her books, and Ada Lovelace used both art and science to explain her ideas. Shine a light on your culture like Tony, Frida, Violetta, Catherine, and Kupi. Toni Morrison shared African American stories with the world. Frida Kahlo painted her feelings and her opinions. Violetta Parra preserved the songs of Chile for all to learn. Be careful. Catherine Dunham learned about Africa through dance. Then Kupi Gloria Fletcher passed down her Aborigine traditions with pottery. See the world differently like Zaha, Asima, Grace, and Betty. Zaha Hadid designed buildings that curved and swirled. Asima Chatterjee found medicine in flowers. Grace Hopper created a way for people to talk to computers. Bessie Blunt Griffin invented tools to help you see. Wherever you are, whatever you'll be, think big and believe in yourself. The world is waiting. You'll see. And that's the end of the story. You want to hear one more story? You do? Okay, we got one more story we can read. At least for right now, anyway. Have you ever seen that movie with these little animals and stuff? Have you ever seen this one? You haven't? Well, it's a movie and it's called Home on the Range. Home on the Range. So let's see what's going on with Home on the Range. Let's see what's happening. These animals look like they're up to no good. Everybody, this here is Maggie, the original Miss Happy something, announced Farmer Pearl. Times were hard for Pearl's little place called Patch of Heaven, but that didn't stop the kind-hearted woman from taking in Maggie, a trash cow in need of a home. The Patch Heaven animals weren't quite as welcoming as Pearl, a show cow question, hat-wearing cow named Miss Calloway. Maggie looked around. The other animals were silently staring at her. Maggie smiled at them. Now don't everybody speak at one time, she joked. Prim and proper Miss Calloway spoke first. Good morning, Margaret, she said. A wide-eyed cow named Grace said, hi. Wow, you're the biggest cow I've ever seen, a piglet told Maggie. Hey. Minutes later, Sheriff Brown arrived, leaping over a fence on his horse, Buck. Whoa, dag-nabbit Buck, take it easy. This ain't no rodeo, cried the sheriff. The sheriff didn't like excitement, but Buck did. The sheriff had some bad news for Pearl. The bank's calling and everybody's dead, Sheriff Brown said to Pearl. If they don't get their money in 3 days, they're going to auction off Patch of Heaven. You know, Pearl, it don't have to be this way. All you gotta do is just sell off a few of these critters, he suggested. But Pearl was furious at the idea. Stop right there, Sam. They're family. You don't sell family, she bellowed. And with that, Pearl chased off Sheriff Brown off of her farm. It is still my property. Now get. I said get. Pearl was heartbroken and plumb out of ideas, she told the cows, walking sadly into her house. Maggie had an idea. There you go. Maggie had an idea. I say we going to town, butter up that sheriff's horse, and get him to give us more time, she declared, picking up the bank notice. Grace eagerly went along, and Miss Calloway eventually followed. You see the horse? You see the horse and the dog? Back in town, Sheriff Brown received a message that Rico, the famous bounty hunter, was coming to collect a reward and get his next job. Buck was excited. His dream was to be a hero. Boy, wouldn't that be the life, Buck asked the sheriff's old dog named Rusty. Riding with Rico, cleaning up the West? When Maggie, Miss Calloway, and Grace reached town, Grace slapped the bank notice onto a barrel in front of Buck. Give us 3 more weeks, Maggie said. We'll have at least 60 bucks. Your farm is history, Buck interrupted. Rusty told the cows that they would need $750 to save their farm. Where are we going to get that kind of money from? Grace asked. Just then, Rico galloped into town, ready for his next job. He learned that the only outlaw left to catch was Alameda Slim, the cattle rustler. What's a bounty? Rico asked in a low voice. What's the bounty? Rico asked in a low voice. $750, answered the sheriff. This gave Maggie an idea, which she told the others. If the cows caught Alameda Slim, they could collect the reward and save Pearl's farm. That's a sensible idea, marked Miss Calloway. I'm going to need a fresh horse, Rico told the sheriff. Buck saw this as his big chance to impress Rico. He raced around, did push-ups, and even tiptoed on the roof. Rico pointed at Buck. He'll do. Then the bounty hunter saddled up Buck and slipped the poster of Alameda Slim into the saddlebag. Rico's saddle. I'm wearing Rico's saddle, Buck shouted out proudly. Meanwhile, Maggie spotted a chuck wagon. She suggested to the others that they follow the wagon into a cattle drive. She reckoned that there was where the cattle rustlers were likely to strike next. Miss Calloway refused to go on such a ridiculous trip. Don't stand on the couch. I don't want you to fall off, but Ladybug. She and Maggie started fighting and Grace was caught in the middle. The dispute caught the sheriff's attention. He thought the 3 cows belonged to the owner of the wagon, and he tied them to the back of it. Soon the wagon was rolled out of town. Buck and Rico headed off in the other direction. After a while, the wagon and the cows passed a ranch that was being auctioned off. What's going to happen to the cow who lived there? Grace wondered. Maggie replied, she'll be okay. How do you know? Asked Grace. You're looking at her, Maggie answered. Maggie explained that she used to have a family like the one at Patch of Heaven until Alameda Slim stole all the cattle and left the rancher penniless. Night fell as the wagon neared the campsite. Cowboys sat around the blazing fire while thousands of cattle slept all around them. Suddenly a gunshot rang out through the darkness. Before anyone knew what was happening, some cattle rustlers known as the Willie Brothers stormed the campsite. They knocked up all the cowboys and tied them up. Uh-oh. Got some bad guys coming through. Moments later, Alameda Slim thundered in riding his huge buffalo named Junior. Come on, girl, shouted Maggie. Time to lose these ropes. Maggie and Miss Calloway freed themselves, but Grace became even more tangled. Then Maggie charged at Slim. Surprisingly, Slim whipped out his guitar and started to yodel. Maggie and Miss Calloway were spellbound by Slim's yodeling. Only tone-deaf Grace wasn't affected by the sound. Maggie, Miss Calloway, snap out of it, Grace pleaded. Grace tried to save them, but she was still tied to the wagon. When the wagon started rolling downhill, it bumped into Grace and tossed her to the roof. Next, the wagon scooped up Maggie and Miss Calloway. Then Rico and Buck arrived on the scene, only to be sent flying by the out-of-control wagon. Meanwhile, Slim and the Willies escaped with the herd of cattle. On their own again, Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway were more determined than ever to catch Slim and the rustlers. They followed the tracks to the stolen cattle. Who better to catch a cattle thief than a cow? Reasoned Grace. Slim and the Willies were hiding in the deserted mine where they had taken in the stolen cattle. Slim was bragging about how he had put most of the local farmers out of business. Then Slim ducked behind a screen and came back in different clothes. This here is the disguise I used to sneak into all them auctions and buy all that land, he said to the Willies with a grin. He told them how he even used a different name, Y.O. Dale. Slim looked at a map of the area and spotted a little farm he hadn't noticed before. It's called Patch of Heaven, Uncle Slim, said Phil Willie. It goes on auction Thursday morning. Slim immediately made a plan to go to the auction disguised as Y.O. Dale. Every last acre counts, he sneered as he branded the section of the map marked Patch of Heaven. Patch of Heaven. Things looked grim at the farm as the animals were about to be auctioned. Pearl worried about her cows. I don't know what's worse, losing my farm to the biggest bidder, or knowing that my girls are lost and alone out there, she fretted. That's Pearl. Out in the range, Maggie Grace and Miss Calloway had met Lucky Jack, a friendly peg-legged jackrabbit. They learned that Lucky Jack had a problem. Until recently, I too had a home. It's mine, he told them sadly. Some of the gambling bandits. Jack spotted a wanted poster of Slim and pointed at it. This is the low-down outlaw who robbed me of my beloved Echo Mine, he cried. You mean this no-good varmint is hiding out in Echo Mine right now, Maggie asked. Without a doubt, responded Jack. They all agreed to go after Slim together. Bovine bounty hunters. I've seen everything. Let's get moving, ladies, Jack suggested. You okay? You okay? Yeah? Hold on, let me turn the page to page of stuff. When the group got to the mine, they were surprised to see Buck already there. Slim's Buffalo Jr. was refusing to let the horse in. Cows only, Junior growled. We got separated from the herd, Grace told Junior. So let the cows and Jack enter. Once inside Slim's hideout, Maggie suggested a plan. You two get his attention while I sneak up behind him, said Maggie to the others. I'll knock him into the cart, and then we rope him up and wheel him to justice. The cows and Jack found Slim counted stolen cattle to Mr. Wesley, a seedy city slicker. It was time for auction. Miss Calloway and Grace tossed the criminal high into the air. It's time for action. Miss Calloway and Grace tossed the criminal high into the air. Maggie caught him in the mine cart, and then Lucky Jack quickly tied up Slim with the rope. Let's get out of here, shouted Grace. The cow raced to escape with Lucky standing guard over Slim in the cart. The Willis raced to their uncle's rescue. Then Junior, Buck, and even Rico joined the crazy chase through the tunnels. The whole gang. Be careful. You playing your iPad? You playing your iPad? Okay. The whole gang spilled out of the mine, crashing into Wesley's train. Its cars loaded with stolen cattle. Slim broke free and the cart was captured. Slim broke free of the cart and captured the cows with the lasso. When Rico arrived at the scene, Buck overheard Slim introduce Rico to Wesley. Let me present the most treacherous, double-crossing gun for hire that I have ever had the pleasure to call partner, Slim boasted, handing Rico a pile of cash. You're too kind, boss, Rico replied. No, it can't be, Buck whispered to himself. He had thought Rico was a hero, but Rico was in cahoots with Slim. Slim put on his disguise and rode off saying, now if you all pardon me, there's a little patch of heaven on the auction block this morning. He's gonna buy our farm, Grace whispered as Wesley and the Willis herded the 3 dairy cows into the train. Rico prepared to ride away on Buck, but the horse was furious with Rico. So Buck decided to give Rico a ride of the ride of his life. Buck galloped toward the train, bucking wildly. Rico could hardly Hold on. Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway watched through the slats of their boxcar. Make a break for it, ladies, Buck called out to them. Run! Buck, have you gone crazy? Maggie hollered. Maybe I just figured out who the real heroes are, Buck yelled back. Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway smashed against the doors, but the strong lock holding them wouldn't budge. This is useless, Miss Calloway said firmly. Let's put our heads together. More brains and less brawn. All right, said Maggie. She took Miss Calloway's prize hat off her head and tossed it outside. Enraged, Miss Calloway charged the locked door, smashing it to pieces. The cows crashed out of the train. Buck knocked out the Wheeler brothers with a couple of karate kicks. Then together the three cows ganged up on Rico. Brawn, you start Rico cold, Buck applauded the cows. But Pearl's farm was about to be auctioned. Unless we sprout wings, we'll never make it back in time, moaned Grace. Miss Calloway was not about to give up. This train goes right by Patch of Heaven, she explained. We caught Slim once, and we should do it again. Who's with me? Quickly, Buck freed the cattle from the train. Free! We're free! The cattle shouted joyfully as they stamped onto the prairie. Then Buck released the cattle cars from the engine. Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway started the engine moving. Buck and Lucky Jack jumped on board. There was no time to lose. Ooh, some of these words are hard to see for these pictures. The engine raced down the track. Suddenly, the cows, Buck, and Jack saw another train headed straight at them. Just then, Jack spotted a track switch. Way ahead of you. Hold on, bellowed Buck. And the two jumped to the ground. Buck and Jack used Jack's peg leg to flip the switch. The cow's engine moved safely to another track. See you back at the farm, girls. Good luck, Buck called to the engine as the engine sped away. At Patch of Heaven, the auction was coming to an end. The sheriff banged his gavel loudly. So, he proclaimed, Pearl's farm has been bought by Alameda Slim disguised as Y. Odell. Odell's the name, foreclosure's the game, he snickered to the sheriff. Pearl watched with a heavy heart. She just lost her beloved farm and all of her animals. At that moment, the train engine carrying the cows sped towards the auction. Run for your lives, yelled the sheriff. Seconds later, Maggie, Grace, and Miss Calloway stood facing Slim. Slim couldn't believe his eyes. It can't be, he stuttered. Grace and Maggie kicked Slim high into the air and into the train's smokestack. Miss Calloway turned up the engine steam to full blast and it blew the disguise right off of Slim. It's Alameda Slim, the surprised sheriff shouted. Alameda Slim, you're under arrest, the sheriff declared as he lassoed the rustler. Since Pearl's cows had caught Slim, the sheriff gave Pearl the reward money. Woo-wee! My farm is saved, Pearl hooted. Grace and Miss Calloway agreed that the farm was saved thanks to Maggie's brash ways. Smiling at her new friends, Maggie said, you know, maybe I could hang around a while. How about forever, Grace suggested. Maggie couldn't think of anything in the world she would like more. And that's the end of the story. Did you like that story? You did? Did you like the story? You like the book? book, book, book. So guys, that is the 2 stories that I read to you all, as well as to the littles that I have here with me this evening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Interactive Nanny's World, and I will be getting back with you all next week. I'm going to go on and end early because I do have little ones that I'm looking after, so I'm going to end. But this is Dawn, aka the Interactive Nanny, signing off from Interactive Nanny's World, where love and play are interactive, and I will be back with you guys next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.